to Charmed Life, a radio show discussing spirituality, magic, and the unconditional love of the universe. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm your host, Tricia Carr. I appreciate you so very much for being here. This is going to be a wonderful show. I'm so excited. Okay, I want to tell you about one thing before we get into this episode. I want to remind you that meet your, oh no, that's not what it's called. It's called Journey with your multidimensional guides. It's a workshop. I still have a series, the last one in the series of 3 coming up on June 1st of 2019. And of course, if you are listening at a time in which June 1st, 2019 is past, go ahead and check my website anyway, because something like it or literally that program may be up on my website as an on-demand class. So we are going to be meeting together in this workshop. We're going to be talking about, I'll be giving some education about the different kinds of guides that you can meet in this multidimensional experience. This particular workshop is going to be of the manifesting planes and the heart. Ooh, it's cool, man. I'm excited about it. And I have some special visitors coming into town. And if you want to join us in person at my studio in Burbank, or if you want to join us online, we're going to be having so much fun together. So go check it out on my website, triciacarcharm.com, and all of the other on-demand offerings there, and my one-on-one services, animal communication, but particularly my intuitive and mediumship sessions. That is really my baby. I love doing that. Really powerful stuff, working with folks that way. Okay, that's all I want to talk about as far as it concerns me, because I have in studio award-winning Canadian singer, songwriter, actress, music supervisor, musical activist, and healer, Michelle Vezilj. Welcome!
Oh, wow, that was quite the welcome. Thank you so much.
No, that's just who you are.
Oh, thanks.
Well, actually, no, you're a lot more, I would say.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I'm getting used to all of those things. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Well, it's weird to see yourself as a product, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But it's what we have to do.
I have to sell myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're as an artist, that's the thing, you know. As an artist, I have an artist. It's so weird the position, because you're so sensitive, but then you have to kind of put labels on yourself that limit you so that people know what gate to enter. So I just think of them as gates. How about that?
Oh, I like that a lot. Yeah, absolutely. I have to make sure that I'm in a certain category so that it's easier to classify. But I've been finding with my music that I kind of step outside of those boundaries a lot. And so I've been recently that's been a little bit of a struggle, trying to classify myself to properly package.
Well, it is because of domestic blindness. So domestic blindness is when we are in our own experience and we can't see the trees for the forest kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, like an example of domestic blindness is when your mom's going to come over and then you're like, oh crap, this apartment's dirty and I didn't even realize it until I had the shock of looking at it from an outside perspective. So inside your own perspective, you have your domestic blindness, which is actually why we go to art and we go to healers, because there's objectivity and there's a kind of clarity that outside perspective grants us.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. If anyone wants to tell me who I really am, that would be great.
323-524-2599. If you want to tell Michelle Vezilj who she is.
Call in now.
Or me too. I don't know. Got a little bit closer for you.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm a little bit loud. Well, okay. We're already off on things. We've talked about, really, we're talking about who we think you might be, but we're not talking about who you are.
Yeah.
But you have a new single that you just premiered.
Yes.
Here in Los Angeles at a venue called Hotel Cafe.
Yes.
Tell us all about Fire Goes to Die. This is the name of this wonderful song. Really powerful.
That's a long story. Back in my early 20s, I went through my own Me Too experience. I was working for a company called Elite Model Management, and I was sexually assaulted. And I didn't tell anyone about it for 6 years.
Wow.
Because I felt such shame. I had put myself in that situation, and there was a lot of guilt around it, and I blamed myself. And then these amazingly strong women started coming forward. Ashley Judd actually spoke to the New York Times on my birthday in 2017, which I feel is very much in alignment. But her story particularly stood out to me because I found a lot of similarities in what happened to her and what happened to me. And so listening to her story, it gave me the courage to come forward, because I was like, oh, she doesn't feel guilt and shame around what happened to her. She's standing up strong and speaking out and telling her truth. And so I was in Los Feliz with my sister, and we were having salmon avocado rolls, and I just came out with it. And
to your sister.
Yeah, she was the first person that I talked to about it. And she was so supportive. And she'd had her own experience. I mean, we all have in some way, shape, or form, every gender. You know, it's just a sad part of life. And she hugged me and healed a part of myself that I had been struggling with for so long. And when that freed, I was sleeping and I got this dream about this woman and this man who were like tightly wound together. And as she started to break away, she started turning into this gorgeous tree and vines were pouring from her head. And the man looked at her and said, well, you know, what's the one way to kill a tree? Fire. So he sets the ground on fire and it snakes towards her, and she looks at it and she says, well, where's the one place where fire goes to die? The ocean. So she runs to her salvation. Wow. And it started as a poem and just kind of blossomed. And I start usually with lyrics because I just think they're so important. I come from a theatrical background, and I think telling the story first and foremost is what you do with a song. And so then I started hearing melodies, and I like to write without an instrument first because I feel as if I'm channeling these things.
Yes. Which we talked about before.
Yeah. And so I try and be as open to different melodies. And then I choose which instrument I feel it would go best on. And so then the guitar felt really right for this one. And I was working with a guitarist at the time, Matthew Hornbeck, and he wrote the guitar riff for this one, and it's just stellar. And
it is.
Yeah. It took a village, but we're here and we did it.
We're going to be playing the song for you real soon here on the show. But I find there's so much. Okay, first of all, there's like so many things.
Down.
And I've been like, so much has been channeling to me since you've been, you coming on the show. Oh, well, okay, you're that. Michelle. Yes. And so you're named for Archangel Michael.
Yes.
Archangel Michael oversees the element of fire.
Oh, I didn't even realize.
Yeah. The element of fire is associated with divine masculine or masculine, and water is associated with feminine. Oh, wow. And so if you think about that tree, which is actually a balance of heaven and earth, and then the masculine being used to destroy it, masculine used as a weapon, and then the feminine saved it.
Man, I love hearing your explanation of my song. And that's
do I have it wrong? Am I like being offensive?
No, that's gorgeous. That's why it's channeled, because I don't always understand everything that I'm pouring in, because it's coming from somewhere greater.
That's what
myself.
True art is. That's what's amazing about art.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that everybody contributes to it when they connect with it. It's like it's like the energy of anything that's soul energy it is soul energy or unconditional love. When someone else connects to it, then it expands and it becomes a different part of the universe, and it's all kind of true. If it's true to the receiver. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what it just came to me as I was like hearing you discuss it. I
got to take you around with me and just have you speak, because that was beautiful.
What's this hippy dippy blonde middle-aged woman?
I'm so hippy dippy.
Archangels and who?
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you. No, I think it's really, and I love that the woman became the tree. Yeah. And by the way.
Yes. No, go on.
Archangel Sandalphon is associated with trees, and Archangel Sandalphon oversees music.
Oh, I love that. I meditate. I go to a place where I wake up in the middle of a forest, and I go and sit inside of a tree, and I meditate. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. Trees have had a huge influence on me.
Mm-hmm. They're like the archangels of the nature realm to me. You know. Oh, they're so amazing. They're just really, they're so ascended and also so grounded. They're just like ultimate manifestation.
Before this, I didn't realize that there was that relationship with trees, because I have listened to your show for forever. And there was one episode where you talked about your relationship with a certain tree. And then I was in the process of getting this out into the open, Fire Goes to Die. And I was like, that's so beautiful. I need to start speaking to trees.
Yes. Yeah. So you've been talking
I have
to
been.
trees?
Yeah. I just... I did the artwork for the album was in Griffith Park, and it's this huge, beautiful space full of trees. And I was just like, hello, everyone.
Yeah. Well, they could literally work with you in your channeling of song, I think. Yeah. Because, of all of that symbolism we were just talking about, but the kind of energy that they bring in and anchor. Yeah. They're really, trees are a model of manifestation, because how manifestation for us as people or, being on this planet, I talked about it last episode, actually, like the crystalline grid of the earth, that's Gaia's energy that actually receives source energy and then distributes it, and that becomes manifestation. And so they're receiving, with their branches, and then they're also receiving the divine energy, and both are conduits. It's electromagnetic on both ends. Olivia is here with us today, and she's over there laughing. Olivia Ray, who was on several episodes ago, she's off camera. Come on over. Come on over. Well, at least she can. What were you saying?
I'm just seeing fairies,
like
she's usual. Like 3 of them.
3. Who are they? Tell us. What do you see? We have fairies in the studio.
I don't know. I feel like they're really excited by the connection to the trees.
Oh, good. I've been trying to connect to fairies. When I came here, I called upon my fairies. And
I love it.
Please be here with me.
That's amazing. I also got a text from our friend David, who sent me 3 fairies earlier today. So that's this morning.
So they're really supporting us.
Thank you.
Don't put me
She's like, I did not agree to go on camera. y'all got to come visit us sometimes. You can come sit in studio with us. It's really fun. So now we're gonna play Fire Goes to Die here in just a little bit, and tell us a little bit more about all of your work. You're a healer, and I mean, I've experienced you. I've seen you give readings in our classes, animal communication and intuitive readings.
Yeah.
So, tell us all about your journey and everything.
Oh man. Okay. So over 3 years ago, I was living in New York. Mm-hmm. And I was going through the beginnings of a terrible breakup and dealing with a partner with alcoholism and such. And it was really hard. And everyone had been like, you look like you do yoga. And I was like, do I? I've never done yoga. And I don't know. Okay. And I'm stubborn. So I was like, well, I'm not going to go to yoga because you said that I look like I should go to yoga. But there was this amazing yoga studio in Astoria. And I was like, you know what? I really want to go. And so I went to one of their classes and I fell in love. And I started taking yoga where there was a lot of meditation and you'd stay in the poses for extended periods of time. And I was coming home from one of those classes. It was like late night, candlelight. It was beautiful. And when I was walking home, I started writing this song called Pumpkin. And the tagline is, you used to be my pumpkin, then I took your insides out. Now you're a jack-o'-lantern, empty and hollowed out. And so then I was like, wow, that lyric is so powerful. And there's no way that I could have written something like that. I didn't feel like it came from me. It did, but it felt greater than some of the other things that I had written. Mm-hmm. And I started noticing differences after meditating. My writing changed drastically to when I was just scribbling things down. Yeah. And so Pumpkin was the beginning of that. And as I was going through this hard time with my ex, I started meditating more and my writing became stronger. And I met this really amazing human being, an actor here in LA, and we spent some time together, and I played some music for him, and he was like, oh my God, you need to be doing this. This is like your calling, your path. And I was like, oh man, okay, yeah, I should. Why didn't I think of that? Because I was acting in New York. I was, auditioning for Broadway and doing all of that. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I need to move to LA. And I did. 2 weeks later, I packed up my New York apartment and I shipped things off and got rid of a lot and just shed that. And I spent a little bit of time in Arizona, and then, which is my home. And then I went to LA. And right when I had gotten here, I had a really good childhood friend pass away. His name was Jerome James Lowe. And actually, you've read him before, which is insane. She got the inflection right and everything. It was just so beautiful. And his death propelled me into this next part of my life where, when you lose someone, it's just like, whew, I had never had that experience before. And it was just, you can't get out of bed. And so I had to really rely on my meditation and that practice, because every time I did that, I felt closer to him. Mm-hmm. And I wrote this song called How Do You Get to the Dead? And I felt like he was passing it to me. It just felt like the lyrics were floating in and I could hear what was supposed to be played. And it's he became such a big part of my writing. And so I was searching for him a lot. I started doing tarot to talk to him specifically. Like all of it kind of spurred from me just wanting to be closer to my friend.
Yeah.
So I was doing tarot and then fell into the Lightworkers Lab, which shout out to them. They're awesome.
Yes, thank you so much. Lightworkers Lab, online spiritual community founded by Crystal and Compton. You can find it on Facebook. Do join. If you guys listen to Charm Light, you hear me talk about it all the time. Really, really go. It's more than a Facebook group. It's just conveniently offered as a Facebook group.
Yeah.
It's a community and it's amazing. So
and they were life-changing. I was introduced to so many wonderful people like Tricia through my friend Carson. Shout out to Carson.
Carson Dad.
And so I started reading for people and reading for myself. And I released this song on just SoundCloud. It's called Golden Waves. I was at the ocean and the sun was setting over the water. And I noticed that there was this like golden path that spread from me to the horizon. And I started writing this song about how like, if only I could dance on golden waves all the way to him. Like if he was in that in-between between where the sky meets the ocean, but how like, even if I were to build a ship and I would sail towards him, that horizon, you never get there. It just keeps going until you hit land again. And so it was more of like this place that I created. And my friend Kimmy has a really wonderful social media presence, and she shared the song. I sang it for his celebration. And I got a bunch of mourners reaching out to me. One such was this young man named Malachi, who's wonderful. He had just lost his mother, and he reached out and said that he felt like his mother had sent him this song.
Wow.
And that it helped him get out of bed. He'd been in his room for a couple of days, and we've kept in touch. I met him. He's in New York. I went to New York on a tour, and I met him there. And I realized then that music has such a, like, it's so expansive and can reach so many people. And that just, while it was therapeutic for me to write that song, Golden Waves, and I felt like I wrote that with him, but then releasing it, it was healing for the people that were listening to it. And then it became really apparent that that was my life goal, was to heal through music.
Yeah.
And so even my show, like at Hotel Cafe, is very unique. I'm a very unique human being in that way, a little weird. But it's basically a one-woman show. And so the show arcs, and it starts with songs that I wrote a while ago and kind of leads into new material, and then there's a tribute to him. But it has a very clear storyline all the way through. And
it's not just a music set.
No.
Collection. Yeah.
I just want to be able to talk to the audience. So a lot of times, like, I can see people, so I'm speaking directly to people, and I talk about, death and alcoholism. I talk about AA and Al-Anon and all these things that I think people really need to hear, and musicians don't always go into depth about before their songs. These songs come from such deep places, and then we just sing them, and a lot of times it helps to talk about them. And then I encourage audience members to come up to me after the show. I had a young woman after a show back in October come up and say she'd lost her mom and her sister. Oh, God. And yeah, terrible. But I was able to take that in, and she's, she got a little bit of healing from the show, from that part of the set. And that makes what I do worth it.
Yeah.
So
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing. So are you taking this on tour? This
well,
show?
There is talks with a couple heavy hitters in the Me Too movement. I'm not allowed to say anything yet, but there is potential to go off with someone, and I'm hoping that I'm putting that out into the universe, that's something, because I think that would do a lot of good, and that would be just singing Fire Goes to Die. But with my music in general, I'm currently writing a movie musical that's going to change the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, called Birdie. And then I want to bring music into, because we have such great things like La La Land and A Star is Born, which I love. A Star is Born. We were talking about that earlier.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Just
first like
brilliant.
45 minutes of that movie. We've actually talked about it on this, on Charmed Life before.
Yes.
Oh, you heard it. Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
You and Crystal.
Yeah, Crystal and I did. Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just such a beautiful film. And, then we've got classics like Singing in the Rain and now television shows. We had Smash, Nashville. And so
I loved both of those.
Me too. And there needs to be more of it. And so these wonderful creators have paved the way for me to continue doing that. And so my goal is to bring all of the things that I do into one thing. And so it'll start with this movie musical, but I currently write for TV and film. So it kind of just all works together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
Well, what was I going to ask you? Oh gosh, I forgot. I think I just want to hear you talk more.
Oh, I feel like I'm talking so much. I'm sorry. I'm also Canadian, so I'll probably apologize a bunch. Sorry about that.
sorry about apologizing.
Sorry.
Well, maybe should we play? I think we should play Fire Goes to Die.
Okay.
We have a video. It's actually the lyric video, so it has Michelle in it, and it also has all of her lyrics. So we're going to go ahead and experience this all together. So if you guys want to take a nice deep breath, let's do that together. And just open our hearts and just take the piece of it that speaks to you. And actually, when we come back, maybe I'll share a little bit of how I relate to personally, because I have some, I feel weird saying it this way, but I have some Me Too stuff too. Yeah,
please.
And I've shared about some of the things that have happened in my childhood, but I have one that has to do specifically with the professional, life. So we could talk about that a little bit, just to, as you said, it was so inspiring for you, for Ashley Judd to share her story.
Yeah.
And so let's all listen to Fire Goes to Die by Michelle Vezilj.
As she pulled away from him, vines poured from her head. As they flowed to her feet, his eyes turned bright red. He set fire to the ground, then she ran to the sea. He screamed after her, "What would you do without me? What would you do without me?" She threw her hands in the air as flowers bloomed in her hair. "I'm going to the one place where fire goes to die. Fire goes to die. Fire goes to die. Fire goes to die. Time was running out as her legs rooted to the earth. She could see the sun on the water as she fought for her self-worth. He set fire to the ground, she ran to the sea. He screamed after her, "What would you do without me?" She threw her hands in the air as flowers bloomed in her hair. "I'm going to the one place where fire goes to die. Fire goes to die. Fire goes to die. Fire goes to die.
Wow. Just amazing. You guys, she has a couple on her website, which is just michellevezilj.com, right? She has a couple of other videos up there of one is a recorded live performance, a cover of Lady Gaga's song. What's it called again?
Always Remember Us.
Oh,
This Way.
yeah,
So good.
From A Star Is Born. And then one that was of the song that you wrote for Jerome.
Yes, How Do You Get to the Dead is on there.
Yeah. And so you can hear, I mean, she's not one of these people that all of the vocals are totally produced and like manufactured. You're an amazing vocalist, amazing vocalist. And she just said, "Oh, I'm saying my vocals."
Yeah,
you're so good. Your pitch, your control.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Your like your taste too. You know what I mean? Like it's just everything. Your music, your musicianship, and your musicality are just amazing.
Thank you. I went to school for musical theater, and I sometimes going to school, it's great to be educated, but sometimes it depends on the environment that you're in. And in school, I was constantly told, "You're an actor, you're an actor, you're an actor. You're not a singer, you're not a singer." And it took me, I had one really wonderful teacher, and I had lots of wonderful teachers, but Patty Rain really believed in me musically and put me in the musical my senior year. But up until that point, I had always thought, "Oh, I'm such a weak singer," because
but we're talking about the musical theater environment, right?
Yeah.
So as a musical, like your voice maybe isn't perfect for that.
Well, I think it was more so I had to come into my own.
In their opinion, by the way. I shouldn't say it's not perfect for that. But in a certain kind of mainstream culture of musical theater at that time, maybe it didn't have the bel canto thing because it's more unique, I think. And that's the thing with some musical... Now, it's not. I'm not in any way denigrating musical theater singers, but just in certain, in certain kind of cultures of industry, there's kind of an expectation, especially when you're at the level of a student.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and now musical theater is opening up too. Like they're embracing incredible voices that are very unique and interesting. And so I'm starting to find my place in that again.
Yes.
But it took a long time, and I had to find my own sound too. And with each instrument that I play, my songs change. And now I'm writing on the piano a lot more, and I've noticed that I feel like that instrument is meant to be mine too. But my music, again, has changed. And so it's funny working on stuff like Fire Goes to Die, because this is from like 2 years ago that I'm just now putting out. And so I'm going through, I have 2 more songs, I Cannot Love You Anymore and How Do You Get to the Dead, that I'll release this year. And then I'll finish that with an EP in 2020. And, the songs that I'm writing now, I'm really proud of, probably won't be heard for like
that's how
2
it
more
is.
years.
But that's how it is with art, with music, but also with film and television.
Film takes, from development to pre-production, then production,
crazy.
Post-production takes like years, sometimes 10 years to get a film out there.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. We live in Los Angeles, so you tend to have people who are working in the industry, and so we're watching OA, my husband and me, and my husband's like, and there's Travis's ass, who's like our friend, and he has like a sex scene. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And he's like, oh, I forgot. Yeah, he told me that he was going to be on it, but it was like 2 years ago that he was actually on it, that it actually made it out.
So when you're lining things up, because it takes a long time, I'm like, no, I swear I'm doing things, but no one knows because, nothing is happening.
Actually, it's even the seasonal lag there, which is another thing that I borrow from nature that has a lot to do with manifestation. Seasonal lag refers to, actually during the time that the sun is closest to the earth is not the hottest time, is not the hottest experience for us. Oh. Yeah, it's called seasonal lag. So the sun is actually closest to the earth May, June, July, but in the northern hemisphere, but it's actually hottest June, July, August. You see, so there's seasonal lag, and then conversely for the winter season, being further away. So, and which is interesting because we have the break of the solstices at the time when the sun is either closest or furthest away, but it's neither coldest or warmest at that time because of the seasonal lag. But we start to feel the change of the light anyway. But that's what it's like for us. It's all true about manifestation. We feel the excitement of the non-physical energy, and then we have to kind of release it and just be in unconditional expectation that it will show up.
Yeah.
And then it does. And by the time it does, you're like, oh, yeah, that's just normal.
Yeah, man, I love that comparison. That's so beautiful, because we are the Earth and the planets, so it makes sense that we are similar in those ways.
Well, yeah, it's just how it is. It's so funny that we have to relearn it as humans. We forget that we're actually Earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we think we just kind of like are floating around as some kind of disembodied whatever. But what's funny is that there is a little bit of, I don't know, there's some kind of false experience of instantaneous manifestation, and where we don't where we get maybe a little more frustrated because there is an enhancement where we aren't patient for the seasonal lag to unfold. What I mean by this is because of social media. So you might be, sharing on Instagram that you're writing something, and even do a little live about it, but it's not going to actually become a product for a while still. It still goes by that physical manifestation. Yeah. But I used to be acquaintances, kind of friends with Jennifer Grey, who's an actress from when she was in Dirty Dancing. And they didn't have social media back in the 80s, obviously. Right. And so when she actually filmed Dirty Dancing, she had to go back to waitressing.
Right, of course.
And she was like, no, really, I'm going to be big. Just wait and see. And meanwhile, people are being rude to her as a waitress.
No. Yeah. But you know what? Social media has its ups and downs, too.
No, of course. I don't think it's really shifted much, except for, again, our expectation or our patience or something like that,
Yeah, I just posted a song. One of the songs that I'm really proud of, I wrote called My Warrior for my younger sister, Jennifer. And I love the song. It's the first song I wrote on the piano myself. And I want to put it out there, but it's going to sit on my Instagram for a little while before I actually push it out into the world. So.
I have so many classes like that are just sitting there and meditations or whatever other things that I like to create too. Yeah. And but they have to simmer for a while. It's weird.
Yeah, I just trust that they all come at the right time. I've been trying to put my faith in my guides in the universe, because as an independent artist, there's a hustle. So you have to be going every day, because if you're not working, nothing's going to happen, because no one's going to do it for you. And so, it's a fine balance of pushing and pulling and bringing things towards you. And so now I've surrendered and I've given trust to the universe, because I've gotten so tired of pushing things. And that's not the way to make things happen. Manifesting is bringing things towards yourself.
Well, the balance is presence. Yeah. Nothing ever happens anywhere except for now. Presence is catching up to creator energy, or slowing down to it. Yes. Whatever your wrong perspective is.
Yeah.
We actually, a few weeks ago, I had on the show Patrick Hayes, and one point that he brought up that it's been kind of like a focus for me in meditation is that when we relax, rather than, not that I'm not contradicting you about the hustle. The hustle is a thing. You can't sit on laurels or something like that and become complacent. But he's talking about more of the surrender. When you relax, then your life force energy isn't taken so much into all of the static and the anxiety and the energy that is not serving it. Need. Yeah. And that's life force energy that is being going into inefficient points of attention. When you relax, then it will settle and go toward the things that are important for you.
Yes, and that's what I've been finding, because with fire, there's this huge buildup to releasing, and there's PR, and there's, Spotify stuff that you have to do, and just all of this. And then I did a show, and then it just kind of goes, because it's this huge buildup, and then you do it again, and you release another single, and it just keeps going. And so it's this point of being just like, okay, take me where I'm supposed to go, and let me write what I'm supposed to write. And I've been working with a spiritual guide, Joanna, and she just kind of told me, like, you're going to be led where you need to, and your music is going to reach the people that need to hear it. And that's all you need to focus on. Yeah. And the people that need to be brought into your life will be. And when I meet someone, before I used to pitch my stuff like, oh, well, this is what I do. And because, you don't know if you're ever going to see this person again. But I've been trying to trust just actual human connections. Yeah. And like, if they're meant for me and they're meant to help in some way, or I'm meant to help them, like those things will just naturally fall into place, which has given me a little bit of peace in the situation, because, I have no patience and I just want things to happen. but they're not going to, you know, and they just kind of happen at their own pace. And I just have to have faith.
Well, impatience, the energy of impatience is actually recognizing and therefore manifesting the lack of something.
Yes.
Yes. You know, recognizing that it's not happening.
Yes.
And that's
just negative
when it doesn't happen, because the universe says, sure, free will, you can have it not happen.
Yes. And I've noticed when I make really positive life choices for myself, like the next day, I'll have like a bunch of really great stuff happen. And I'm like, oh, it's because I made a choice that was good for myself, that now I'm moving back on a positive path.
Yeah. Alignment.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I said I was going to share. Mine is probably not as well. At the time, it was really devastating, but it was when I was 16 or 17, actually. I can't remember exactly. And I was working in a restaurant, and I was a hostess, and the manager was so old. He was 34.
Oh, no.
But he was, we were in the office together. And he grabbed my face and kissed me. And so this is in the 90s. He grabbed my face and kissed me. And I was so like grossed out and shocked. I actually slapped him. And not really very hard. I actually just went like, ah, you know what I mean? It was almost like swatting something away from you. And he kind of made fun of me. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't laugh. And he was like trying to make light of it and everything. And I like got really freaked out and I just left. And he took me off the schedule.
Wow.
And so my mother actually told on him.
Good for your mother.
And she had a meeting with them. I mean, I actually, the next week when I got taken off the schedule, that was when I remember I was called my mom, like she was at work or something. And I was like, I think I've been sexually harassed. And I was crying to her. Oh. And she went in and had a meeting I didn't go with her. But the unfortunate thing was, which is why I think this movement, like the Me Too movement, has been powerful. The unfortunate thing was they just transferred him to another store.
No, that's terrible.
And you know what else? The reason he had gotten transferred to our store was because he had started to date a 17-year-old hostess at the previous one. Yep. And so that may have been happened by some manipulation that he was actually dating her. But he got transferred because that was like, you can't do that because there's some statutory things and it's, anyway.
Oh yeah.
So
it's illegal.
There's that bit. Yeah. But so he just got transferred again and he has a pattern. And
it just happened to another girl.
And then you know what else happened to me after that was all of my colleagues, all of I should just say the male colleagues. Well, actually, I think there were some females who were kind of like, but I think they were kind of rejecting me because of the pressure that I was getting. Everyone was calling me a puta and everything. It was a Mexican restaurant. Yeah. And they were saying, that I created it or whatever they do. And I'm a little 17-year-old girl. And so I actually ended up quitting. And
oh, that's terrible.
So, I actually lost my job. Fortunately, I was only 17 and I didn't really need a job.
Sure.
But yeah, so I think that this movement and voices like yours coming out, even though my story, like I say, it's as an impact, it's not that powerful.
No, I think we shouldn't put labels on it like that.
Right,
every story matters and builds towards something greater. And every time someone shares something like that, it becomes a part of this greater story and history. And so what happened to you is not right. And it's a part of a bigger picture. Yeah. And especially with you coming forward and saying something, I mean, that's amazing. And, in cases like with rape and such, when a victim, a survivor comes forward, she is not only speaking her truth and healing and doing that, but she is also preventing that man or woman, he or she, from doing that to someone else. And so you're stopping a pattern. Unfortunately, with your situation, the higher ups didn't help you with that, which is...
And it could escalate, or, it's not in our hands anymore. There wasn't anything more that we could do about it. I also had, continuing to work in hospitality, and I had a really close friend that we worked together for over a decade. We kept working at the same places together. We would get each other the job at the next place. Yeah. And I remember when I was a manager at a couple of places, and I would be having trouble with the higher management or something like that, who would be male. Yeah. And I would be frustrated. I'd ask my friend, who happened to be male himself, and he would just say to me, "Don't you see? It's because you don't have a penis. They would never treat me this way." And I actually wouldn't even see that. I'm like, "Are you serious? This is just misogyny?" And he's like, "That's what it is." Yeah. And, it's, I think it's really beautiful, though. The divine feminine is starting to balance that out, just like your song. You know what I mean? And there will be a swing of the pendulum that because the pendulum was swung so far one way, and so the other way it may become a little uncomfortable again, but we will find that balance. I think that's what we're talking about.
And we've got great women out there helping to find the balance. And, you know, when I started singing this song, I got a couple men who came up to me. And at first, when I was first singing it, I was like, this is for the ladies, you know, and I just wasn't aware at that time, but these men came up to me and they told me their stories, and I was like, wow, okay. And so I started including that because it's not just women. No, it is, you know, it is men, and all genders, all orientations are going through these things. And it's very relevant, especially with what's going on with Alabama and all of those things. Like it's just a conversation that we need to be having. So in addition to that, there are men who are good men who don't know that it's happening because it's never been a part of their life. You know, it may have even happened to their sisters and they didn't know it. Sure. It could have happened to their mother and they didn't know it because we don't share. Yeah. And they're like, my husband is one of those men. Every time he hears, like when he heard your song and I was explaining it to him, he was like, I just can't, like he doesn't even know you, but he's like, I can't believe that happened to her. It just happens. He's like, I feel like it happens to everyone. Every woman I know has a story. And I just didn't realize that, you know. But, you know, once I shared my story, just this whole group of supportive people came in and made me feel so loved. And like, honestly, holding on to that secret for 6 years, it does something to a person. Yeah. Like I buried it so deep, and it would come up every once in a while and I'd want to say something, but I just like kept my mouth shut, and it would haunt my dreams. And it was like just this feeling in my stomach, and I don't have that anymore. And I'm so grateful to my sister for being there and listening and being supportive, because I couldn't live with that any longer. It was just too hard. No, it was a death that was in you. That's why you couldn't live with it. Yeah, it was very dark. And what this is so relevant of is that awareness is just healing. Yeah. You know, bringing something out. And I just want to encourage anyone, if you have some pain of any kind, that actually going in and bringing light to it, whether it's speaking to someone about it or allowing yourself to speak to yourself about it, you actually aren't re-injuring yourself. You're actually releasing yourself from the pain of the injury, because you're already in a state of injury having had that experience. Yeah. And so you're not having it again. You are actually releasing yourself from that prison, I think. Yeah, and like, you are not alone. You are so loved, and you are enough, and you're not alone. Wow, I don't know how else we can we can top that. Is there anything, any last words, anything you want to share with everyone before we? You know, for artists, I'd just like to say, keep going. The world needs what you are creating. Yes. And so it's so important to bring those things in, because they're not coming from just you. They are coming from someplace better that's meant to make this world just a little more peaceful, especially nowadays. And you have no idea who you're touching and healing. Yeah, just like Malachi in New York, I had no idea, and it was so touching. And he's one of the greatest people that I know, and I never would have been put in touch with him if I hadn't released a song, you know. And so just keep creating and putting stuff out there. Yes, keep creating. Yes. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Oh my gosh. Go check out Michelle's website, michellevezilj.com. You can it's in the show notes there, and go purchase her single Fire Goes to Die. Yes. If you go to firegoestodie.com, yes, you'll have a link there to go to iTunes and purchase it. It is amazing. And I put my phone on my on Bluetooth, or I should say my car on Bluetooth, and it popped up right away. I was like, woohoo! Yay. Yeah, it was awesome. Awesome. On the way over. Yeah, it's on all the major platforms, Spotify, Apple Music. So just if you could share it with 1 million of your closest friends, that would be awesome. So helpful. Yeah, I had my mom's cousin reached out, and he works for a radio station in Canada, and was like, let's get that on air. And I was like, yes. Hell yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. You'll have to have a celebration. So I'll be famous in Canada. Visit me in Canada. Please. And she's sorry. I'm so sorry. Actually, I do want to say one last thing. We do have our intuitive and mediumship development class 2 times per month, and Michelle comes frequently. Yes, it's amazing. We actually do have some spots open still for this afternoon, so if you're listening live, go and see if you can register. You'll find it on my website, triciacarcharm.com/Burbank.
mediumship. Is that it? Whatever. Go look in my website. You'll find it there.
Yeah.
Is that it?
It's
Is it
been
mediumship
incredible.
Burbank? Okay. I think it's mediumship Burbank. Yeah, but we have so much fun. We just get together and love on each other and open up our abilities even more.
Yeah. I've been working on animal communication, and Tricia's been really helping that.
It's so great. I love you. And she has a wonderful little kitten.
Oh my gosh, he's the cutest in the world. He's a Scottish fold, so he's adorable. But she's helping me speak to him, so
I don't know about that. Okay, so finally, yes, we will end this episode. Oh, gosh, I'm so excited. I'm hitting the microphone. Thank you so much for coming in studio today, and we can't wait to hear more from you. Thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.